Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. My name is Laura Lachance. I'm the Executive Director of the Canadian Down Syndrome Society. I'm speaking to you from lovely Collingwood, Ontario. I was explaining to Mary that although our corporate address has been in Alberta, we've been working remotely, almost all from Ontario, since before COVID. So it has become a world of Zoom and Google Meet and Cloud and all of the above to keep connected. And before COVID, none of us really did that too much. So how far we've come and how much we've learned along the way. I will introduce to you Sarah, who is our Community Outreach Officer at Canadian Down Syndrome Society. And I know many of you have connected with, spoken to, met Sarah, and she will MC tonight's presentation. And I will continue to let in anyone who does show, who does log in a little bit later. And I'd like to begin by reading a land acknowledgement. So I'll begin by acknowledging that although we do meet virtually, we're all on land that has been inhabited by Indigenous people for thousands of years. And for those thousands of years, the First Nations walked on and cared for the lands that we now call home by sharing traditions and telling great stories. While our physical address is on the ancestral land of the Métis and the Blackfoot, we all work remotely from the regions of the Mohawk, the Mississaugas of the Credit. And from Collingwood, Ontario, we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. Here, many people cared for their families and communities in the way that we now seek to care for ours. We'll continue to recognize, learn, and grow in friendship and community across Canada. Thank you. And over to Sarah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. This is our fourth webinar in our community learning series. We're excited to be taking on the topic of finding paid employment this evening. We know that it's certainly a challenge many people face. There are definitely still obstacles to finding meaningful paid employment for a lot of folks in our community. And October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So what a better time to dig into this conversation. We have some great guests that are going to offer their insights and tips on kind of different aspects of it, and some community members that are going to share their experiences as well. For anyone that might just be joining us, this session is being recorded. Will be sent out to everyone after the fact. And we also welcome you to drop any comments or questions in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat throughout the session, and I can pass those questions to our guests. We'll have a little Q&A at the very end if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our first guest, Ingrid, who is from the Ontario Disability Employment Network, or ODEN. Welcome, Ingrid. Take it away.
Oh my God, good afternoon. I'm somewhere in between 6 in the morning when I left my house to now. I was in Windsor earlier on today. My name is Ingrid. I am the Director of Special Projects and Innovation at the Ontario Disability Employment Network, ODEN. And just briefly, ODEN is a network of employment service providers. So these are agencies in your community that support job seekers who have a disability to prepare for work. We have about 130 members, agencies in our network. And throughout the conversation, I'll drop some links to direct you to a couple of things that can help you in your journey of paid employment. And so that's why just so that you know, I come to this wonderful community because I have a child who has Down syndrome, Alex, who is 14, just entered grade 9, and has missed most of grade 9 because he has been sick lately. But we are starting a journey which you have walked before. And yeah, I'm hoping to be able to provide some insight into the topic for today. Sarah, are you introducing your other guests?
Oh no, sorry. We'll just go one at a time. So Ingrid,
Oh,
you're first up, so you can go ahead and take the ball and run with it.
sorry, my
My
apologies.
apologies, I
I
wasn't
have to be
clear.
told what to do. So I have been asked to come to you and speak about job hunting and resume writing. So the first thing I should say is that Odin doesn't work directly job seekers. The agencies that are in our network are the ones that work directly with job seekers. However, I will provide some insights based on the last 7 years of experience that I've been working here at Odin. Those job seekers who succeed the most are those who better understand themselves. And when we talk about supported employment, one of the biggest piece of supported employment is employment discovery. Understanding who you are, understanding the things that you like and you don't like. I think I'm competing with somebody. Okay, we're good. And so I think when it comes to the concept of job hunting, what you want to do is you want to take a look in your community and start to investigate the employers in your community that do the things that you like to do. I'll use my son as an example. Alex is only 14, but for the last few years, we've been talking about work. We have been talking about employment. We have been talking about him being part of a team and really understanding the things that he likes and he dislikes. Alex is not a math person. He just doesn't like it. So when it comes time for us to start looking and advocating for co-op opportunities, I know that we're not going to be looking into a scenario or a situation where Alex is going to be required to do math. That is just not his thing. Lately, one of the things that Alex has been talking about that he wants to do is he wants to be a mascot. And at first I went, that's kind of an interesting thing. But then the more I realize, that's actually a real job. People get paid for wearing a costume and going around and being part of a team and being part of a community. So when we talk about job seekers who have a disability, sometimes we do have to think outside of the box. And we do have to think about what are the things that help you explore what are your interests, and then look for opportunities to try them out. I have talked in the past about volunteering as a very key aspect of building employment skills. And I don't mean volunteering in areas where people are getting paid. So we don't volunteer at a pizza place where somebody's making pizza. But you could volunteer in a community setting where you can have an opportunity to develop your communication skills, where you can help develop your organizational skills. When we, Odin, speak with employers, soft skills are the number one thing that they are looking for in terms of any employee. And soft skills involves the way in which we communicate. It doesn't always have to be verbal. Communication comes in many different ways. The way in which you follow instructions, the way in which you help your team, the way in which you take initiative to solve problems. These are soft skills, but you are not born with those skills. You have to be provided the opportunities to practice those skills and to showcase those skills. So again, I'll go back to the concept of when you're doing your job hunting, look for the things that you like, look for opportunities to develop those, and then you begin to create your profile of employability skills. Those can come from your volunteering. If you are part of a church or a community organization, you are building employability skills by being part of that community. It's all about documenting and documenting the ways in which you show those skills. Again, when we think about building a resume, resumes for people like my son may not look the same as my resume, but you still have an opportunity to showcase skills that employers want to have, people who are motivated, who are reliable. So how do you build those skills in your home, in your community? Yeah, as part of an organization where you can volunteer. And eventually you can go to an employer that is who has inclusive mindset as part of their DNA, as part of their corporate makeup. Look for those employers in your community who are very open and speak broadly about the fact that they want to be diverse, that they want to reflect the community in which you are. If you don't have employers like that, start asking them, why are you not reflecting our community? Where are the people who have a disability within your organization? And if not, tell them there are many employment service providers out there that would support them. So I'll backtrack a little bit. Employment service providers or agencies are organizations that are publicly funded, and their job is to support two clients. One, the job seekers who have a disability, and the second client is the businesses, the employers in your community. So if you have identified an employer and they don't know that they can get supports from agencies in their community, you might want to let them know. You might want to direct them to whether it's the Ontario Disability Employment Network website, maybe it's the Canadian Association for Supported Employment, maybe it's the YMCA, the March of Dimes. These are all organizations that will often at no cost support you and support the business community. So I think I'll pause here because I think I was only given 5 minutes. I could go on and on, but I will be dropping some links. The last thing that I will say is that ODA has been very fortunate in receiving a grant from the Ministry of Education, and we are putting together some resources. They are for students, but it doesn't mean that you cannot access them if you are already out of school. One of those tools will be a learning module, so a computer module that is all about employment discovery. So through a series of activities, you can start to discover the things that you like and you don't like. And through that module, you can create an employability profile. And we have utilized some of the resources from CDSS. We make note of that. And we are putting together some other resources that you might find useful. So I will put the links now that I'm going off mic, and I am here to answer any questions. So I hope that that resonates with the audience, and I hope that I leave you with at least a new nugget, a new idea to pursue in your job hunting.
Thank you so much for sharing those insights with us, Ingrid. Yes, if anyone has any questions for any of our guests, feel free to drop them in the chat anytime. And we will also, in an email, send out any kind of slides or links or resources from all of our guests this evening, so that if you want to kind of have a more in-depth look at those after the fact, you absolutely can. Our next guest is Sean from LinkedIn. CDSS and LinkedIn partnered a couple of years ago and created a platform called Employable, which I won't tell you too much about because I think Sean's gonna be able to speak to it more than I will. But it's all about kind of the digital space and job hunting. And I think Sean has some slides. So Laura, if you could give him screen sharing permission, then we'll let Sean take it away.
Thanks so much, Sarah. And Ingrid, you did such a good job kind of bringing together everything that we've done with the CDSS and when it came to Employable, because at LinkedIn, one thing that we did understand was that our main mantra for what we do is to bring economic opportunity for every single member of the job force. And that includes the members of the community within the Down syndrome community. So it's something that I was really passionate about, and I know the CDSS is really passionate about. And what I'm going to talk more so about today is, what LinkedIn is and how to properly build your profile there, where Ingrid was talking about your resume and how to connect with potential employers. What LinkedIn will give you the ability to do is do that in the digital space. So we're able to put ourselves out there and not necessarily just talk about our resume, but talk about ourselves and talk about the things that we want to be able to do as professionals, because people within the Down syndrome community deserve to be professionals, and that's what we're here to support and help. So with that, I do have permission now. Thank you, Laura, for giving me the access to share my screen. And what we'll be going through is what we call a Rock Your Profile session. So give me one moment here and I will start sharing my screen. One moment. And actually, I'll be back in just 2 seconds. My Zoom is making me quit and reopen. So just give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Wonderful world of technology.
Sarah, do you want to my slides? Because I have an issue as well if I have to log out and log in the Zoom, because it took me quite a while to
Sure, yeah. Maybe Laura, your host, right? So maybe if I email those slides to you, then you can just screen share and show Vanessa's slides while she's speaking. Perfect. We'll do that then. Thanks for your patience, everyone. The virtual world is constantly throwing new curveballs at us. And there's Sean coming back in. Perfect.
So sorry about that, everybody. I just got a new computer at work here, and I guess I haven't been on Zoom where I've had to share my screen. So these things happen. If Laura, if you could give me back that access to share my screen, that would be great. I think I still might have it actually. So probably nothing to worry about here. All right. So if everyone could just let me know if they can see my screen, or someone could let me know. Thumbs up. Great. So thank you very much for spending some time with me tonight. I don't have too much time to go over this, so I'll be going pretty quick, but I will share this content with Sarah and Laura, and it will be sent out to everybody on this call. But my name is Sean McConnell. I'm a senior agency development lead at LinkedIn Canada. I also work with a lot of nonprofits across various different areas, but specifically with the Down syndrome community. And today, basically what we're going to be doing is going over a brief overview of, what you do on some social media and what you do on LinkedIn, and really leaning into what we do on LinkedIn. So thinking about other social media that is, we all know about today is, on Facebook, you might say you like donuts. On Snapchat, you might say, watch me eat a donut. Instagram, here's a cool photo of my donut, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Donuts are the keyword here. On LinkedIn, it's a little bit different. You think about it in a professional mindset. So on LinkedIn, you hope to operate a donut franchise one day, or you're looking for a job at a donut company. You have 3 years of experience making donuts. These are the very different ways that people think and interact on LinkedIn. And this is no different to when you think about what you want to do when you want to build your professional network. So we are a professional network that connects opportunity to people. And as I said off the top before I had to quickly jump off, our goal as a company and as a platform is to connect economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And I really want to be very clear about every member, because every member, regardless of any limitations that might be out there, need to be part of this. And we need to elevate everybody to be able to do the things that they're passionate about doing and the things that they should possibly be doing. So how do you do that on our platform? And it's really one key area, especially for anybody that's new to the workforce or wanting to get into that. And that's building your LinkedIn profile. So setting up your account, one thing we'll talk about here is your profile versus a resume. Obviously, a resume is very important, but your online profile is much, much different. We'll talk about how you take a photo and how you edit some of your key profile areas that you go into. And a lot of this can tie back into, what Sarah talked about from an employable perspective. We built a platform on LinkedIn that, going through this process of building your profile, you can also add your experience of what we called it, of being an employable person. And that is how you add your job experience. You add it as an employable person, and then you get joined into that community. So let's kick off. And apologies that I'm going very fast. I don't have too much time to go through all of this content. But first of all, what you need to do to set up a LinkedIn profile, it's free. You just go to linkedin.com on your desktop computer or on a mobile application, and you just sign in. So you can download the app, have an email ready to go, and you just can create your account that way. Once you've created that account, you need to then build your profile. And, there's three big differences between a profile and a resume. Sorry, more than three, to be honest. But, one thing you need to think about is it speaks to all potential employees, not just a single one, or sorry, employers, not just a single one. When you create your resume, normally you're tailoring that towards a specific job that you're going after. Your LinkedIn profile isn't that. It goes into more detail with skills, projects, interests, certifications, and much, much more from what you've done. It allows other professionals and employers to interact and learn and contact you. And it also contains recommendations and or endorsements from anybody that you could have possibly worked with, gone to school with, engaged with. Just that's the power of our platform. And that's something that we're really excited about. So when you think about adding your photo, one thing that you want to do here is, you can edit your photo using filters. You don't need to use a professional headshot. Use the tools that are available to you to create, a great headshot. One thing about this, and it's crazy to think, but a lot of people, especially within this community, did not want to add a photo when we go through employable conversations. But what it does for you is it gives you the opportunity to have many more connection requests. It also gives you the opportunity to have many more profile views as well as messages. And what I'll say about messages very, very quickly is these are the most important ways that either whoever's profile this is or their caregivers can interact with possible employers that are out there. So from a best practice perspective, make sure you do that, as well as add in a background photo. Consider using anything that inspires you, a company hashtag, a logo, or a brand, wherever you want to work. There's a lot of cool things we could do. When we built out Employable, we created a background photo for everybody to use too, which is pretty cool. Moving forward from there, we can also talk about recording your name. And I think this is one thing that's really important for everybody because pronouncing your name can be hard for a lot of people and hard for a lot of employers. So giving everybody the ability to allow employers to understand how to properly pronounce their name was super important to LinkedIn. So if you do leverage the mobile app, you can record the pronunciation of your name. And again, you have 10 seconds to do this. You really want to limit background noise and you want to hold your phone like this one, just about 4 inches away from your face. If it's too close, it'll sound a little bit muddled. But at the end of the day, this is one great way to start engagement with the possible employers that you might have. Another thing that we've identified as an organization is adding your pronouns. It helps you show up as your authentic self. This is an optional ad, but it's something we definitely recommend because 70% of job seekers believe it's important that recruiters understand their gender pronouns. And then 72%, which I think is more important, of hiring managers believe it's important and it does show respect to the person when they do know this. Getting a little bit deeper into the profile, let's think about your headline. So there's a lot of different areas that you can edit your profile on LinkedIn, and your headline is probably one of the most important ones that you can update. It's right underneath your name on your profile, and it generally defaults to what your current role is. But if you don't necessarily have a current role or you're looking for a job, you want to think of it more as a publishing byline about who I am, what I want to do. So the reason this is important because as you're out there engaging with content or applying for jobs, this is the first thing that people are going to be able to see. So it's the most prominent example of who you are and what you're looking to do. So it's great real estate for you to be able to quickly help identify who you are and what you want to do. The second thing that I would say is equally as important is crafting a summary. This would be your elevator pitch, and this is your about section. So this is where you want to focus on either career accomplishments or just accomplishments in general and aspirations. You don't want it to be too short. Think about the short form being your headline and the longer form being this about section. So really thinking about what you want to do as a person. And, you know, if you do join the employable community, we do have one of these written up for you that we do help people kind of break down a little bit more so to what you want to do as an individual when you do sign up for employable. So this is what you want to do. This is a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more storytelling, and less of what you would have on a resume. And I think this is one of those clear things that differentiates LinkedIn from a resume. Next is detailing your experience. And I understand a lot of folks within this community don't necessarily have experience from a job perspective, but this doesn't necessarily just have to be focused on core job work that you might have done. So this is where you're able to put anything that you might have done, whether it be volunteer work or actual vocational work that you might do, as well as this is the ability for you to go in and add experience to the employable community. So when you add this experience, you just go in, you click, there's a little pencil on the side that gives you the ability to click into there. And if you don't necessarily have job experience, you can then go in and click employable as an employer and add that to your job experience as well. And again, by doing that, you're also then included within the employable community. Also, as I said, adding volunteer experience is really, really important. This gives you up to 6 times more profile views. It importantly shows people about things that you care about and that you're passionate for. Again, this is from everybody across the job spectrum that we do want to see this on here. And I mean, this is things that I add to my LinkedIn profile, which is great. One other thing that I've actually experienced that's been pretty awesome within this community is featured content. And this is the last thing that we'll talk about as I'm running out of time. But this helps you bring your story to life. A lot of really awesome people within the Down syndrome community have a lot of really great, interesting things that they've done. And this is a great place to showcase that, whether it's art, whether it's acting, whether it's writing, all those different things that there's so much great work that we see come out of this community. This is the place to put that. And this is the place that helps you shine outside of the general population that you do see on LinkedIn. So that's it from us, from a LinkedIn perspective. We'll send over this deck to the CDSS as well as some instructions on how to get engaged from an employable perspective. But that's it. And that's it for me for now. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Sean. So for anyone who is not connected with Employable that would like to get started, as Sean mentioned, it's completely free to join. I'll include actually, I'll drop a link in the chat now, as well as in the email that we send out tomorrow. But you can email employable@cdss.ca anytime with questions. We can give you kind of step-by-step how to join. And we're happy to hop on a call with you as well to chat a little bit more about you as a job seeker and what type of work you might be interested in, and how Employable can be hopefully one of the tools in your toolkit to kind of harness the power of LinkedIn to help you get connected with some job seekers who are looking to hire inclusively. So now we've heard a little bit from both Ingrid and Sean about the job hunting. Our next guest is going to talk a little bit about what does it look like when you've got that job and you're headed into your first day, your first couple of weeks, you're learning, you're being trained. What does success look like once you started that new job? And so our next guest is Vanessa from Adecco, who has some firsthand kind of experience and tips that she's going to share with us about that side of things.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here. I'm actually sharing the stage with a very special guest. I have Amanda Carter here and her mom, Gail. I see Amanda, hello. So I will let are you the slide? I'm terrified to try and share the screen because it's going to knock me out of Zoom. I think Laura's loading it, but I'll tell you a little bit about who I am and what I've heard of Adecco in this group. Adecco. So Adecco is a global workforce solution. Jobs with any fund to solve interesting challenges and problems they have.
Hi, Vanessa. Sorry, your audio is just breaking up. We're having trouble hearing you. I'm wondering, oh, actually, is she still here?
Wait, I think
Oh,
she
yes.
dropped.
Oh, yes, you've turned your video off. That is exactly what I was going to suggest. Okay. Yeah, let's try that again, Vanessa, if you can hear me.
Okay,
Not sure.
where did I lose you?
I'm right near the beginning.
Where did I lose you? Right. Goodness. Okay. So, did everybody hear me when I said I had a very special guest here tonight? Amanda, Gail.
Yes, and then after that, you started breaking up. Yeah, I'm still
Okay,
having a
all
lot of
right.
trouble
So
hearing you. Sorry, is
I keep
that just
getting
on my end?
a pop-up that my internet is unstable. So if you stop hearing
Ah,
me, will you just ping me? Okay,
sure.
I'm good. Okay, okay. So Adecco is an organization where, and we work with people who are actively trying to find jobs or clients who are trying to source for different talent to help solve any of their staffing challenges. Can you still hear me? I just saw a message that you're having trouble.
Yes, I can hear you more clearly now. I'll drop a message in the chat if you start
Am I
breaking up
coming in?
again. You're okay now. Thanks, Vanessa.
Yeah? Okay. Okay. I'm going to jump straight to the next slide, Laura, if we can. You want to move to the next slide? Awesome. So this is so this summer we had a fantastic partnership with Cirque du Soleil, and we created an opportunity with Cirque to expand how they play in the employment space. And we had 3 colleagues working at, in addition to probably a work of about 200 for every show. Washer during the show. So Amanda, I don't know if
Oh dear, it looks like Vanessa just lost connection for a moment. So I think she'll be back momentarily. But for anyone that was having trouble hearing, she was just sharing that Adecco was working with Cirque du Soleil over the summer. And Amanda was one of the employees that worked. Adecco was hired for Cirque in locations across Canada, and Amanda was one of the employees that was working with them in Toronto. Hi, Vanessa.
I'm
Just
sorry, guys.
just
I don't
catching
know.
everybody up who might not be
Yeah,
able to have heard
I
you.
apologize. I don't know what's happening with my signal, but it keeps coming in and out. So, yes, we had a phenomenal partnership, and one of the areas where we are really striving to make a difference is to have these conversations with our clients. We have approximately 3,000 to 5,000 candidates out working every week for us. They're really working hard in the inclusive space across Canada, finding opportunities and making sure that the community clients working reflect the areas where they're located. So we have excellent experience with CERC, and we have a show happening right now in Vancouver, where we have 3 of our community working as well. And we're hoping to expand that across other clients such as Canada Post and Canadian Tire. We actually have a few roles that are just about to come open with Canadian Tire in Bolton, Ontario. So more to come on that. So Amanda, I don't know if you heard me earlier, if you wanted to share what you liked about when you were working at Cirque du Soleil and what you were doing.
I like selling tickets.
Yes. So Amanda had an amazing job where she stood at the entrance of the tent. And if you can imagine, there are, I think was it 2,600, close to 3,000 guests who come to the show. And Amanda did a phenomenal job scanning tickets. And what else did we do there, Amanda?
I also talk to people that were coming in.
Yes. And in fact, Amanda would text me after every shift and tell me that she saw somebody that she's with. And you met somebody from
Sudbury.
from Sudbury. And so it was a really incredible experience. And we're thrilled at the outcome. And I think, you know, one of the things that Gail, Amanda's mom, said that has really stuck with me is how, and Gail, actually, I won't, you want to share what you shared with me about the overall impression of Cirque?
I didn't hear quite what she was asking.
She just said if you wanted to share what you had
Remember
shared
we
with
were
her.
talking about
I know that we talked about giving her the opportunity to work there because it's so hard for her to find work, and they were willing to give her an opportunity and train her, and she really enjoyed the experience.
and I think, you know, she felt like she's part of the team, right, Amanda, like with the rest of the teammates and Leah and Hugo. And
Oh, yeah.
Cirque was a great opportunity for our pilot in order to learn from onboarding, and I think it was a really great experience.
Yes, Vanessa, I also.
Am I still breaking up, Gail? Is it still hard to hear me?
I'm just having a bit of trouble on my end, but the other part that we did discuss was when we went to go to the store to purchase a few items, we were lucky enough to meet some of the other staff, and they were so welcoming, told us how well Amanda was doing, and it was nice to see them interacting. It was a great experience for Amanda this summer.
Amazing, Amanda. Sarah, I still crackly and breaking up.
It's kind of coming and going. Sometimes you are, sometimes you are. Right
Okay.
now I can hear you clearly. So go for it and we'll cross our fingers.
Good. So one of the topics that came up, and that was a real learning opportunity for us, was how do we onboard a workforce who requires a little bit of an accommodation? And we discovered some important things. So when you are job searching and when you have found a role you're interested in, it's really important to be clear about what's like for you. we spent a great deal of time with Gail and Amanda and the team on what are some considerations that we need to have? Like, do we need to have extra training on time clocks? Are there certain things that we should, what should perform? How do we give instructions so that we're making our, and when you are meeting with employees, I think it's important to those questions and very that you want this to be a long-standing opportunity and experience. And what does success look like and who's involved? We spent a great deal of CERC making sure that that was had and had tools and had access to documents.
Sorry, it looks like we've lost Vanessa again, but just to summarize, she was mentioning that it's important to determine what success looks like for you as an individual, and that can help to kind of figure out what accommodation might look like at a given job. And I know that's something that Vanessa has shared with me in our previous conversations. Is that it really takes a village, that it's the job seeker, sometimes the caregiver or parent, because those are often the people that have the insights of this is something, a tool or a strategy or something that has helped achieve success maybe in school or in a past volunteer position, as well as the employer kind of being willing to just have an open mind and make those pivots and be really present in kind of achieving that shared definition of success. So thank you
I'm
so
so
much.
sorry.
No problem. Thank you so much for sharing with that, Vanessa. I do think we had some really kind of valuable nuggets of insight from that. And the final section, we're gonna have a little kind of community chat, community panel here. We have joining us this evening, Mary and Maddie Tolmie. So Maddie has a bunch of different kind of work and volunteer experience, so can kind of talk from the job seeker side of things, and as well as Mary from a caregiver perspective. And we also have, I believe, Ellen, who is from Melly's Market and Cafe in Whitby. So let's start with you, Mary and Maddie, and if anyone has any kind of questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And but yeah, why don't you guys just introduce yourself and share a little bit with the room?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew. People call me Maddie or Matt Dog. I am 36 years old with Down syndrome, living in Windsor, Ontario. I am going to talk to you about what it is like working in my community. These are my paid jobs as an assistant in a physiotherapy clinic, 4-hour shift per week for the last 17 years. Merchandiser at a Shoppers Drug Mart, 1 4-hour shift per week for the last 16 years. A caretaker at an arena for the city of Windsor. 2 6.5 hours, 2 6.5 hour shifts per week for the last 13 years. I volunteer as an altar server at my church since I was 10 years old. I volunteer twice per week as a dressing room assistant with the Ontario Hockey League. Windsor Spitfire Hockey Club for the last 16 years, getting my job. I am very social, talkative, and not afraid to give a nice gesture give a handshake. I stay active and get to know people, and they get to know me. I first started volunteering. I did many co-op placements in high school. I show people that I am kind, caring, and I ask family members and friends to help me to get a job, and if they know anyone who own a business. I went to the unemployment center in Windsor and did 2 paid jobs through the government. Okay, here I go. Volunteering was very helpful to put on my resume, even though I didn't stay working at the government program jobs. I didn't give up and put them on my resume. And I put my co-op jobs on my resume. I wasn't afraid to list all my positive qualities. I always ask 3 different people, including previous bosses, teachers, and friends, to be referenced. I kept my resume updated. I list courses. I looked about having a job interview. I went to the interview as a nicely dressed, groomed well. I brought my mom with me so she could add anything I might have forgotten. I told them I could have a job coach. Tips about working. I believe in myself. My mom was a big supporter to help me get jobs. I am on time. I know that working at jobs in my life is a priority, and not just having fun with friends. I try to eat healthy, packing a healthy lunch snack so I don't get sick. I was taught how to take a bus or call for a cab. The last bit I'm going to share about this. I work well with my team. I did use a job coach in the beginning. I like to follow tasks. So I ask my bosses to make a list. I have meetings with my bosses and mom to make sure things were going well when necessary, which is not often anymore. I talk to my boss if someone is making fun of me or doing things on my list. I think working at different jobs keeps my brain active. I get to know more people. Working different jobs keeps me on my toes. My favorite job is working with the Windsor Spitfire. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Maddie. And I think that you made a lot of great points. You mentioned some of those soft skills that Ingrid was talking about earlier and touched on the importance of volunteering and building up your resume and, you know, reaching out to your network of people you know to try to find jobs. So some really, really great tips in there from your experience. Mary, do you have anything to add?
I think that advocating and having your child with you, your adult child with you during this advocacy part is important, because then they start to learn how to do that for themselves too, and to talk for themselves and bring up themselves, to know that they're human like us, and they can introduce themselves and tell them all their good qualities rather than us speaking for them all the time. And then definitely having meetings in the beginning, maybe every, you would set the time frame. I did it every 3 months to make sure that we were snapping anything that was just starting to be maybe an issue, to catch it in them, before it grew into any type of mountain. So that was really important. And now that he's had these jobs for so long, we just don't need those meetings anymore. The government paid jobs that did give money to the employer. They were helpful. However, I found that after the 6-month program was done, neither one of them kept him on. And that was very unfortunate. One was Eastside Barrios and one was Wendy's. And I was very disappointed in that. I did find that they really wanted, they didn't really accommodate because they wanted Matthew to be able to do cash, which he can't, when it was slow in their restaurant. So restaurant working, although he loves cooking, he's just not been the place for him. So unfortunately, we couldn't seek that out as much as he had wanted to. But the co-op programs in high school really helped, and to keep those on your resume. And this HR department in the city of Windsor, I have to say that they took on what Sarnia, Ontario has been doing for quite some time now. And I started back in 2011 talking to a person in HR for the city and saying, what can you do? I mean, my son now is out of high school, and, an occupational therapist told me when he was 2 years old that it's like jumping off the cliff, at 21 when there's no schooling left. Now what do you do? So I always knew that in the back of my mind, even though that was 34 years ago. He's 36 now, but I kept that going to say, okay, what do I need to do? So nobody was calling us. So I called HR, and they worked with their unions. And I think more cities are opening up to working with union jobs that are really going to need to accommodate people that have different disabilities. And Matthew was actually offered a full-time job with them after 8 years of working, but he decided to turn it down. And I think he said that at the end is it was important for him to keep a variety of jobs, to keep knowing people in his community. He would have had to give up you know, his volunteer job with the Windsor Spitfires. He would have had to give up his job with the physiotherapy clinic and with shoppers. And this way he gets a combination. Yes, he probably could have made more money. He would have had a better pension at time of retirement. But I just think and he has time still to then on Tuesdays and Thursdays go out with friends. So although it seems like a lot of jobs, it is, but they're, you know, they're 4-hour shifts or they're 6.5-hour shifts. So the only job, it's funny that the Windsor Spitfires, it's not like the NHL, it's the OHL. So although he puts a lot of hours in with them, a lot, it's a position that they would never pay anybody to do. So I'm glad that he's glad that he has it. And he said, it's just a hockey world. That's the way business is, Mom, don't worry about it. So, I mean, I've come to the point where people saying, aren't they taking advantage of him? They're kind of taking advantage of him. He works so long there for them, but you love it. He said it's his favorite job. So I just keep it going with the volunteering for that. But yeah, so that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. I know we're running a little bit over time here. We really jam-packed because we had so many great guests that we wanted to share perspectives with this evening. But just if you are able to stay, there's just one more person we want to hear from, which is Ellen from Melly's Market and Cafe in Whitby. Just to give a little bit of perspective, they run a program that she'll tell a little bit about, and she might be able to offer a little bit of insight on things that potential employers might be looking for.
Hi, and thanks for inviting us. We feel very privileged to be here. I just want to give a big congratulations to Matt. Everything he does and is doing is everything that I was going to say. So I don't really need to say anything because he's a remarkable young man that's doing so much, and just his whole attitude is unbelievable. So I would say just do what he's doing, get that experience, that variety of experience, and going out and, like his mom was saying, going out with him to advocate for him to see how important he is. I think that is such a key piece right there for them to feel like they're just as important as us. And that's what we do at Melly's too. We want them to understand that you have a right in this world, just like everyone else, to be part of the world, to be part of life. And not just sitting at home being lonely and depressed without anything to do. So that's really all we can say. And just Matt, you're amazing. Way to go. That's all I have to say, really. I can't add any more to it. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ellen. And again, that's Melly's is located in Whitby. So if anyone is in the Durham area, check out their website. They run an amazing program for adults with intellectual disabilities. And I've sampled some of their coffee and baked goods too, and they make some pretty delicious treats as well.
Well, I should just add quickly that everything that Matt is doing is what we do at Melly's at the training program. Very much that's the beginning phase of it, getting all those skills down pat, and then getting the confidence to go out and get that job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what he did.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sorry, go ahead,
I
Mary.
really have to push calling your city, whatever city you live in, calling the HR department, because I think that they're finally opening up to hiring people that need accommodations, and the unions. I know in the city of Windsor, a lot of departments are run by unions there, and he works for Parks and Rec, and they have just been so wonderful to turn things around. I mean, nobody else has a 6.5-hour shift, but he does, because 8 hours is just too long for him. It's just too long. So that's why these shorter shifts are better for him, to keep his attention and his focus. So yeah, I just decided one day to call them, and then didn't realize Sarnia, Ontario was, thriving in that. So I hope people take advantage of calling them. And
That's
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you all so
Good.
much. We had some really great insights from everyone tonight, and thank you to everyone who was able to join us. If you have any questions after the fact or thoughts, feel free to email us anytime or give us a call. I will share all the slides and links from all of our guests as well after the fact, and the recording of the webinar will be sent out to you. And if you have any questions about joining Employable, feel free to reach out as well. Laura, do you have anything else to add before we wrap it up tonight?
No, thank you. You know, for those of you that don't know, I too am a parent, and our son is 32, almost 32, and he works in Collingwood, but like Maddie, had a really great opportunity in high school for co-op employment and has held a variety of jobs, and right now really loves his work and doesn't, you know, there's no challenge to get up in the morning and get going. And I sometimes think that when 4 o'clock rolls around and it's the end of his shift, he's a bit disappointed that it's time to go home. But you know, I think uh, you know, like it has been said, you know, because you get a job doesn't mean you keep a job. And there are a variety of reasons why that can't work, doesn't work. Sometimes the employer is funded and the funding runs out, and you know, they're maybe not as accommodating as they might be, because really, you know, the bottom line for employers is about business and business development and business profit, and you don't get to keep a job if you're not pulling your weight and doing your bit, whether it's for a long shift or a short shift, and we grow and learn from these opportunities when you lose a job, and perhaps your other children or other children in your family have lost a job, and it's a challenging time, but a great opportunity to understand better about what it is you might need to do next time in order to show your spunk and enthusiasm and keep on working. So just like Sarah said, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And I know we could probably talk about experiences and share for some time to come, but we are going to end the presentation. Sarah, any last words?
No, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. It was lovely to see you all. Have a great night.